Alright, alright. Oh shit! That's how you start a stream. Knock things over. Well, it didn't break, so that's cool. What did break? Oh no! Oh, that sucks. I did break it. Well, I'll have to figure that out later. Sorry. Quite the stream already. Yeah. Okay, what are we doing? See? Alright. Got all this new technology here. So, main point I wanted to show was, as I sort of zoom to around here, I have been developing a new Zwift mod, sauce mod, and it's pretty cool. It's for chat, and kind of the genesis. A fan a little closer to me. On Saturdays, my kids have events and things on Saturdays, like sports and stuff, so it's a little bit more difficult, but when there's nothing going on Saturdays, at like 1 p.m. Pacific, there's the Jet group ride, and Jet's a great, really fun group ride, and they're a Japanese team, and I don't know how, a lot of the Jet team members do not speak English, and so actually it took me a long time to realize that Zwift app on PC doesn't render kanji characters at all, which is really shameful. Companion does, which is nice, I guess. But so for the longest time, I couldn't figure out why there's just like empty bubbles. But I've always kind of like thought that it'd be cool, kind of bring everybody together and be able to understand everybody. And so I created a sauce mod that is going to translate every message. So I'm not going to reveal it just yet because there's nothing good in chat. I have a few. It's all Americans, but yeah, we'll just ride around Zwift until we can find an example of usage. But I guess I'll have to have something to talk about until then. Training's been going really well. Trying to up the load. I'm going to be unemployed, fun employed. Not to worry anybody. I'm actually looking forward to it pretty soon, which is great. So I'm going to spend a bit more time on the bike. I've been trying to get warmed up to that, but feeling really good fitness and excited to increase following for a couple months. And just work on toy projects like this. Really been getting my layout. I had a stream deck. That's what I broke. I broke the stand for it, which was really flimsy anyway, but if I can take myself off. Oh, it disappeared. I can show you the nearby riders. That didn't work, did it? Oh no, it is. Sorry, bottom left. Sorry, a bit of a delay. I really like that. And then the new one, I guess I'll do the reveal now, is the chat. So, oh, as everything just disappears. So I'm calling it Omnicator, or like Omni Communicator. It can communicate or understand any language. It's really not that sophisticated, but I sort of learned through the business of software that I should probably upsell things that I do more than downsell them. So it's cutting edge, nothing like it. Extremely hard to do. Years, decades of work gone into this. But I guess I won't give away the sauce. Well, I kind of have to. speaking of sauce, if we restart sauce, you'll see. See how it works. So first thing it does is, the big clue to how it works, you need a ChatGPT API key. Put in there. There are, like, I really don't want to store anything. The sauce is a Electron app. Did something in the Stream Deck. I don't know what I did. I don't want this menu. Sorry, so many changes. So many new pieces of technology. Maybe I'll show the Stream Deck. Oh, and now I'm upside down. We're just all kinds of winning today. So this is the Stream Deck that I built using Companion from a company called BitFocus. And if I change it, then I can get Zwift without any menus. You can get nearby riders, show that, and it hooks into OBS. Pretty cool. I've been inspired by other streamers. Bradford Redpath does it. Others, my son was telling me exactly what it was. I didn't really quite realize it, but yeah. So the home indicator should be there. So you enter in a ChatGPT API key. You have to do it every time, and the reason for that is pretty simple. In that, like, security-wise, you should really be storing things that important, like on a server, and then pull them. I know Sauce has secure storage because it's storing credentials. Anyhow, I'll maybe figure that out. But right now, every time you boot up Sauce, if you want to use this, you have to put in your API key. Sign up for an API key by going to OpenAI. You can put limits on it in terms of money. It's been super cheap so far. So the default model that I'm using, it's 15 cents per million tokens. A token, you can think of it as a word. It's not quite a word, but close enough. And so it's using ChatGPT as the translator and to figure out which language it is. Right now, it's just translating everything to English, which I think, weirdly enough, should be like pretty simple to come up with a way to translate to your desired language once you detect it. So there's a few challenges, but that's about it. But you can configure things, which is pretty cool. So the message timeout is like how long it stays in the window. The message limit is the limit for the window. And then cost per token is just something you've got to enter in yourself so that you can keep tabs on how much you're being billed. Like, I haven't even been billed a penny. I've been testing this. I left this on overnight. Just translating everything in Tempest, and not even a penny. So excluded countries would be like, so I'm American. I do speak other languages, not well. I speak Spanish and Armenian, but Americans tend to speak English only. In fact, to test this, I've had to test this feature, which is nice. So I was testing in Swahili, Bosnian, Spanish, French. There's all types of languages, and it did well. In fact, somebody, when I was in Swahili, somebody said, "Welcome, Swahili man." So that's kind of cool. But if I turn that off, it translates my own messages, which is nice for testing. But I don't want to waste tokens translating somebody from the United States, or really Australia or UK. But notice I don't have Canada there. So Canada's obviously predominantly English speaking, but if you get like a Quebecois, I do see a lot of French speaking Canadians, and so I still, most of the time it's going to be English. There's no way for me to detect it ahead of time without calling ChatGPT. So it's doing two things: detecting what language it is, and then translating it back to English. Then all I have to do is render it. So, but yeah, you can do exclusions, which is nice. And then the cost per token is just so that my widget in the top right sums up the total that you're being charged. So I haven't seen anybody yet chatting. It's been hard. I've noticed like chat comes in waves. Like a friend will meet up like, hey, what are you doing? Where are you on Zwift? And they'll give directions or whatever. And it's mostly in English, but yeah. So we'll wait. I think it's on screen now. See what we see. I'm gonna probably up the pace after I warm up a little bit. Did a long endurance yesterday. I'm gonna do shorter endurance today, and then maybe if I'm feeling ambitious, some VO2 max intervals. I didn't eat my intervals. Okay. So this is actually what I really like. I need to adjust myself. As happens with the cycle, but you don't have to see it now, so that's good. And we're back. I did just break my stand from my pad there, but I don't know. I do have a 3D printer. It's been down for a while and it's older. I'll have to figure it out. But we get to like, I don't know, 215, 220. What I'm going to be targeting. And we'll see if we can see what we find in terms of chat. This is one of the reasons I do like the Sisu HUD, which is the bright green text with the blue icons. Bottom right shows gradient to 2 degrees or 2 decimal places. It's actually really nice for really understanding the gradient in real time. Because if you look at the upper right corner, it just says 2%. Well, it's not true. It's 1.3. It's saying it says 1% now. It's doing some serious rounding, and it makes a difference when you use power-ups and things. You just come in and you know the course. So I'm pretty happy with the HUD. I've seen a really clean version of a HUD, but I don't know what it is. But it's a HUD with very similar stats, but they're kind of in pills across the screen, which is pretty cool. I made it cleaner than mine. I am not a good designer by any stretch in terms of aesthetic, but yeah. So if an English message comes up, it's depends on the country of origin. So sorry, back to the omnicator. It's gonna assume things. So the exclusions are by country of origin of the speaker. So if the speaker's from the United States, it won't even attempt. But if the speaker's from a different nation that's not excluded, it will translate. Even most of the time it's English, but yeah. What else? No one's asked, but my workout regimen is 10 to 12 hours a week, predominantly zone 2, lots of races, and the session that's been making the difference for me has been a longish, easy-ish zone, well not longish, but hour and a half zone 2 at mid to lower zone 2, and then I do 6 3-minute VO2 max threshold. That's been making a lot of difference for me. I'd like to get my 20-minute power up. It's decent, and then my sprint is always a work in progress, but coming along well. Had some good ladder races recently. You can check those out, previous streams. A few losses, but the performances were there, I guess. So that's all I really care about. Team performs well. A lot of mechanicals on the team. I would imagine if you asked most pro ladder teams, I'll probably say the same. And it's part of the win or loss, but yeah. Spam call. Should have accepted it. No nobody's chatty. I guess it's getting late in Europe. A lot of people out. I expect a little bit more. Yeah, I can always chat. That may not have been spam now I think about it. But, yeah, so workout routine. I don't really think races are the best workout. I think you have to put in a reasonable, not effort in the race, but effort mentally to do something that resembles a workout. And I'll tell you, when you're racing at your best, you are responding to the race conditions, which necessarily means you may not be doing the most optimal thing for your workout. So you should be saving lots of stuff. That's why I don't think racing is, I think it's better than nothing. And I think it is a good workout to some degree. But I think doing the exact type of efforts you're trying to get better at, over the exact time period that you're trying to get better at them, and is ideal. So working on the layout. No more the list of times. I'm taking up that whole space now, so you won't see it around it. It is nice with the stream deck though. I can remove it. Which is cool. Probably be streaming a little bit more and recording a little bit less. But we'll see. Nobody's talking today. I put in quite a few hours on the bike, 10 plus a week. Did 10,000 miles last year. Probably 80% indoor, 20% outdoor. This year, I think I'll do 11 or 12,000. I'd love for the ratio to be closer to at least a third out of 5, but we'll see. I did a lot of outside this week. That's my current employment is winding down. And less pressure to perform in my job and a little bit more freedom to take some time back to myself. So, been really enjoying just making applications. Not sure how big the crossover is of technical folks and Zwifters, but I'm sure it's not zero, but I have to fill the space. I do use the latest LLMs to help me code. It will not replace me anytime soon. And it basically the reason I'm efficient with them is because I know how to read the output quickly. And I've been doing this for 26 years, 25 years. So I've got a lot of experience. You cannot let the LLMs like take over and work for you. They make way too many mistakes. I do have ChatGPT Pro, which is access to the O3 Mini High model 01, 01 Pro. Those are the best I've used. Kind of refuse to go to DeepSeek, the website. It's a soapbox in and of itself. I've run it locally. I have a 4090 RTX, so I can run models locally. I have a lot of VRAM. But you can't get the whole experience. And you're getting distilled in. It's awful at coding for the distilled models. It's not a fair comparison. I have Claude 3.5 at work. I have access to 3 samples of Claude 3.7. It's good. Claude is decent. 01, 01 Pro, 03 Mini High. They're all excellent. And this is with respect to coding, which is really my wheelhouse to be able to comment. Translation, I went through some half-ass research to figure out for this project which model is like the best in terms of price per token per I just want translation. That's it. Oh, I guess language identification too. And in that regard, I'm using a ChatGPT 4.0 mini. 15 cents per million tokens. And as I've been riding around, I use 0 tokens. But the translations, from what I've seen, are like good enough. So yeah, going back to the motivation, the Saturday ride with the jet folks is so much fun. And I think most speak English pretty well, but not all, and it's fun to be in on their inside jokes. I've used O1 Pro as my Japanese translator to, just kind of put jokes and things, and it's funny because that's always the test. Jokes are the test of any fluency or whatever, which obviously I have 0 in Japanese. But and they I don't know if they're being polite, but the joke translated with O1 Pro, and it was fun to just enter in kanji and get a positive response. I think that's kind of the roadmap as well for what I can do with the Omnicator. Kind of sky's the limit. Maybe I was thinking this is pretty starting getting into some technical nuances, like hold a list of riders and like the country, what languages we detected them speaking, and then like an ability to respond from English back to language. But I think first perhaps is to make a more universal appeal, in that I should be able to make a setting that translates to any language. So if your home language is Spanish, for example, it will translate all the messages to Spanish and not English. It's hard coded for English right now, but surprisingly, I think it'll be pretty trivial to switch. So the Spanish is not good enough to really gauge the efficacy of those translations. But 0 chats, of course. Set up the live stream and let alone translate. I haven't, it's worked maybe, I've seen it work like 10 times. And it worked perfectly. Where somebody was speaking a different language, it told me what, and when it was English. But 90% plus of comms on Zwift are already English, so it's tough. We'll see. They come in spurts. Somebody will usually say something, and then other people pile on. I don't know what that flag is. Red top and bottom and white in the middle. I do know most of my flags too, so it's weird. Poland is white on top, red on bottom. I play a bit of chess too, so you get used to all the different flags. And again, if it's English, like you'll see, if it's a non-English speaking country, let's see, the yellow, I want to say, oh, that's a tough one. I believe it's a Middle Eastern or North African country. Yeah, anyway. So I'm bragging about my flag identification. I'm already not identifying that food. Throw me right there. That was one of the things I had to do for this project was configure all the world flags. They will come up in chat. Maybe you'll see one of these days if somebody speaks. Man, my legs feel good. It's been a brutal week. But I really don't like rest days. I started struggling with my training. I've sort of, in the last 6 to 12 months, got to the point where I've sort of exhausted all the conventional wisdom about training, which is good, but it's general. And started getting into the territory where you're training with respect to your own physiology and all that kind of stuff. And my body doesn't, and this is crazy. Your mileage will vary. It's probably not accurate for you. It's probably not even true. But I feel like my body is like, rest days, don't need them. I lose so much fitness on a rest day, and I feel weird on the return day. So I don't know if I should go to more active recovery. That one I've learned. Most people do active recovery wrong, in my opinion. It is not zone 2. It is strict. 50% of FET, your FTP, and not a beat above that, real low heart rate, 15, or something like that. For me, it's 120. And then you're really pumping your lymphatic system to get all of the lactic acid out of your muscles. And that's not circulation. The circulated lactic acid is muscle contraction. So that's why active recovery works. But it's supposed to not be zone 2. But I'm kind of wanting to try. I really like intervals.icu. If you haven't set up an account there, go do it. It's pretty cool. Shows you progress. And I do think it tracks with my actual fitness gains pretty well. But what I've noticed is like a rest day just plummets my overall load. So I'm putting my legs and it takes longer to get to where I want. So it might be silly. I think we do a lot of avoiding of this overtraining, and I know it's awful for those who've experienced it. I never have. But for those who don't know what it looks like kind of lose the will to train. You'll get on the trainer, you won't be able to output anything resembling your top end watts. You'll experience depressed depression, and then depressed libido, things like that. That's what it's, and I don't think I've ever hit that. So a lot of guidance is like, oh, avoid overtraining. But I don't know. It takes a long time to recover, and you must be off the bike. So I think it's worth avoiding, but at the same time, how do you know how close you are if you haven't done it? So I'm wondering if I can switch up maybe a day off every 2, because right now I'm 6 days on the bike, 1 day off. I did skip rest day last week, 10 days in a row. I'm feeling the fatigue in my legs, but that's the point, right? My very reductive learnings, and again, your mileage can completely vary, but putting more load into your legs week over week, gradually, is what makes you more fit. And in my assessment, probably shouldn't listen to me, but is that you're not getting stronger so much as you're adapting to what your body thinks is normal. And for us to be able to do that, they say you do need rest days, and I believe that's true for probably most people. But again, I'm kind of on my fitness journey where I'm sort of off the conventional wisdom. Okay, chats. Hey! All Crayon eater. It's Nick. Or I shouldn't say that. He's undefined. Nick is Nick. Nick's popular. This is what I'm saying. Chat comes in spurts like this. So it's not translating anybody speaking English. The undefined is the last name. Looks like some characters, whatever. I can fix that. And notice the Canadian, here, no good. It is translating, just in case they're French speaking. And then more Americans. Crayon Eater is a strong rider. He's usually on the jet rides too. You might appreciate this soft mod. And if you see my tokens, I am now at 1,000th of a 100th of a penny that I paid for all this. Still don't have what I'm looking for, which is a non-English language. Knowing my luck, it'll come from somebody in the United States. You can turn that off. I wanted to give folks like a way to save on tokens, even though it's cheap. And I do want some disclaimers. Somebody from France. Speak French, damn it. Not English. I do want to give people like ways to keep their costs low. But so far it's been pretty ridiculous. I do think it's not going to be too many people that are going to want to go get an API key. So we'll see. We'll see if it's cool enough. People are motivated, but yeah. What is undefined? First name, last name, message yourself. I'll have to debug that. I started this yesterday. So again, going back to what I said, I shouldn't be overselling my effort. This is my life's work. I made the translator myself. But that's how I feel as a professional. And I think people are getting it wrong in terms of these LLMs are replacing software engineers. No. It gives you the illusion, if you don't know what code is, what it does, or what's important to know. But, I mean, I've been doing it for 25 years. So, like, I read code like English sentence, in languages that I'm good with, and I understand the logical structures and the problems. But if you can't guide the output of LLMs, if you can't guide the structure of your project, I'm actually now rooting for these companies to let agents take over it. Please, 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 please. Let them loose in your production systems, and I will be charging a pretty penny to come and unfuck them. So it's really odd because it's harming a lot of people in terms of it's a well-paying career. And I think that's at the heart of it. That's my opinion. That there's a need to kind of control people's ideas of LLMs being a replacement for software engineers. Coding is not software engineering. Coding is one thing that we do. It's really about making logical abstractions. It's really about keeping that project neat and organized. It's about knowing when to throw something out, knowing when to refactor and how. Again, the crossover of tech people, the Zwifters, I'm not sure how high it is. But maybe this will resonate with non-technical people wondering about future in terms of LLMs. An LLM will never tell you, this code sucks. I'm not going to do what you asked me to do because it's crusty and it breaks stuff. The LLM will happily staple on whatever you ask of it to the monstrosity that it builds. It builds spaghetti. Spaghetti, for non-technical people, is inelegant code bases that you try to follow the logic, and it's like a plate of spaghetti. Start with one strand, and that's what spaghetti code is. That's all it knows how to do. It doesn't say, well, hey, we should do this, but I think you need to refactor, restructure your entire program because this change breaks the current paradigm. It needs to be refactored. It doesn't do that. It's a yes man. And I think it's a good litmus test for like when to be nervous that it's going to replace us humans is when it can do that. Now you can ask it like thoughtful questions about managing your project and your code, and it's pretty good at giving decent advice. But if you didn't know what to ask or how to interpret its response and how to structure your code, then it's really just going to make spaghetti. So I really want all these companies to let them loose. They hallucinate. It's like you'll ask it, hey, can you perform this functionality? And it'll say, yeah, just use this library. A library is like a module of code that you generally have a main language, whether it's JavaScript or Python or whatever, and you're loading in libraries to do specific tasks. It'll hallucinate the existence of a library or the functionality in an existing library. It's kind of funny because it's like, hey, that would be nice if that thing did exist. But it just goes ahead and sometimes like, no, it does. And you go to compile it and you're like, huh, that did not work. And that's a hallucination. There's also some fundamental laws of nature, it looks like, around the error rate. And again, this is like deeply technical, but a machine learning model is trying to reduce error. That's kind of its North Star, the path with the fewest errors. So imagine you're doing like image recognition. I want all pictures of a cat. Well, you feed it a bunch of pictures of cat. You feed it a bunch of pictures of not cat. And this is a curated example, human curated. And you mark the pictures of cat as true. Yes, this is cat. The pictures of non-cat as 0. And then it'll find a way to figure out, like under the covers, it's like chopping up individual pixels, making groups, shading, color, all these things, accounting for it, and then determining cat or not cat from some new picture. So it finds the patterns of catness, right? That's how it works, but it does that by reducing the amount of error. And it's the same, LLMs are just predicting text. They're predicting the next token in the sequence, which is why these tokens are not words. But it seems there's some, I mean, there's some asymptotes, some hard limits of training, and it's a function of the parameters, the data size, and the compute. But it will not go to 0, meaning it will never be perfect or really that near it. I mean, yeah, I can get it. Anyway, all to say is I've had every opinion as a software engineer about LLMs, including, oh man, we're in trouble. But I think I've used them enough and understand them enough now to have a firm opinion that, like, nope. I do think a lot of jobs will disappear. I think software engineers will probably be one of the last. But we'll see. It's all about perception anyway. The company I work for is like making some pretty crazy plays with respect to downsizing staff. And I don't see it working well for them. It's part of the reason I'm losing my job. I'm not Not being fired, not being laid off, but being asked to relocate, and I just can't. So I'm actually okay with that. I think there's never been a better time to be independent. And in the meantime, we make some super cool sauce mods. Pick off that one translation every 4 days at this rate. Nobody's talking. And when they do, it's in English. My girlfriend made me this for so good. Dates and chocolate. I'm just gonna keep going. I want to see this thing work. I mean, I've seen it work. I want you to see it work. There's like dates and oats, chia seeds, chocolate is so good. Lots of carbs. Stella! Weasel. Get on the stream. Weasel nose. Oh, okay. Hey, where are you going? I don't want to move the camera because it flips. Well, fine. Didn't want to hang out with you anyway. I think it's like a Dutch person that identifies via Swahili. But it should be any language. ChatGPT is pretty good at translating it. I have seen some Dutch riders that use their Dutchiness so that we don't understand them during races. Haha, like me. Always saying something incendiary. Yeah, this week should be about 12 hours on the bike as I ramp up for 15 and north of 15, starting when my fun employment starts. First time in my life I've been doing really well. Rebuilt financially after the divorce, and I don't need a job for the foreseeable future, which is nice. I really want to test the waters and building my own business again. Just want to code, man. I know I say coding is a software engineering, but sometimes we use it interchangeably. I want to build. Like I said, after all I'm not bashing LLMs. I'm just saying they're not what people are saying they are. And I love them. And I think my statement, my official argument is that they make us more valuable. Us as software engineers, because we understand the output. We understand what's going off the rails. And it went off the rails quite a bit. But at the same time, in like, I don't know, all told, let's call it 6 hours. It's probably less than that. I made this in about 6 hours. If even that. Honestly, it's probably like 3 or 4. And a lot of testing. Sitting in Tempest, waiting for people to talk. And then I found I just like, well, I was annoying for a little bit. It is funny when I would put like testing chat. People would be like, oh, you can use Companion. Like, oh, it's working, right? Thanks, guys. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm super excited for professional direction. Like the analogy I always give is I feel like Mickey Mouse and Fantasia. Because everything is like pretty tedious. Logically, you got stare and this test and this condition and blah blah blah. And I think vibe coding is dangerous and stupid, but there's somewhere in between where you really learn how the models work, and you really learn how putting good feedback loops, or how well something's working, and reduce your testing cycles. And you can be a little bit more liberal, but like every few edits, like large edits, you're gonna have to audit everything. And you have to understand the code. I don't understand how anybody thinks you can replace coders, but people don't understand the output. Like, could you be a professional translator, like of languages? Like if my job was just to put things into a translator, into ChatGPT, like I sit in a courtroom, and the stakes are really high for correctness, and the stakes are really high in software systems. You imagine you're banking. I don't want LLMs anywhere near banking software. Maybe testing or whatever. I definitely don't want my banking software vibe coded. But could I be a language translator? Man, there's no. Because if I don't understand the language, the nuance, the meanings, it's like the one time I accidentally insulted the country of France on Twitter many years ago. It was weird. To my American eyes, it was a very funny video of a bunch of kids, like I don't know, 7, 6 to 8, in a choir. All had gray hair. All had cigarettes, like chocolate ones, and glasses that looked like whiskey. It was probably apple juice or whatever. I'm not claiming they were smoking real cigarettes or drinking, but they were paying homage to a grown-ass man that clearly they were dressed up as. He was some kind of like avant-garde musician, Sergio something, but he's like smoking in front of them and drinking. And he's like tearing up because he's moved, and they're singing a song to him. My comment might have been a little insensitive. It wasn't that bad. But I spent forever trying to figure out if people thought it was funny, French people, or I insulted them. Because the responses, the one in particular was JPP, this is me saying in English, JPP, and then in French, enculé, which is like MFer, right? And like, so I looked up, I use these translation services. JPP is, don't make me speak French, and I don't speak French, but it's I just can't. And so like, you could see in English, in the American English brain, that somebody saying like, I just can't, is like a sign like you get the joke and it's funny. And like, I wasn't aiming to insult anybody. I just did. But the point is that the translation, I could even get the gist, I couldn't get the nuance. And it took me a while until I asked the French speaker, like, no, they're mad at you. And it's like, that MFer, I just can't, I'm angry. Oh. I guess I should tell the joke because it sounds so much worse than it was. I was like, is this the award ceremony for the Frenchiest French person? That's it. I didn't think it was that controversial, but But then there you go. I don't understand the nuance. In French culture, they hold their culture in high regard. This is sort of an attack on the avant-garde cultural icon. Is not seen. And I love it, and I get it. But back to the point, like, if you're a translator of languages and that comes across your desk, what are you going to do? That's why we require translators to be fluent. It's the same with software, and the stakes are higher. We need you to understand the nuance. And I don't think you could be a language translator just with please. Now, you might say, hey, well, you made a sauce mod. I did. The stakes are quite low. This isn't your call recording. This is a low effort thing to bring people together and understand each other a little bit more, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah. So. Nobody is talking. That's my take on LLMs, software engineers. And I'm hoping we invest in pipelines for junior engineers, because they will be needed. I mean, my generation saw it too. Kind of pre-cloud, there was a generation of, when I was in my 20s, a programmer that was in the 50s or 60s was like, back in my day, I had 32 kilobytes of memory to work with. I had to program each pixel being displayed on the screen one at a time. I mean, they're not lying. Those are all true. But the abstraction is just, you abstract more and more problems to where we take it for granted what's displayed on the screen or a translation or whatever, and that's just how it grows. And LLMs could be a new abstraction, but abstraction. And as with all abstractions, until they're rock solid, you have to. It's called a leaky abstraction, and you have to get in and understand the internals. But at some point in time, an abstraction is so battle tested, it doesn't leak anymore. And you can kind of rely on it. Now, the specific example, if you're technical, is infrastructure as code. If you're not technical, what that means is like programmatically asking for cloud resources. Cloud is just a bunch of servers that are not yours. It's my favorite definition of cloud. Computers that are not yours. A server is just a computer running a program. And that's it. Ooh, somebody's chatting. It's like right when events get out. Yeah. Nothing foreign. But it would be like infrastructure as code is like spinning up real cloud resources as a part of your program. You might need like a load balancer. You might need some cloud storage, a database, some servers, some compute. That's all different. And we're trying to abstract that such that you can write code that is like a recipe for ordering these things. And it's going okay. We're sort of in that middling territory where the abstractions we can largely count on, but aren't fully baked. They are, you can get them to be super reliable if you're an experienced professional. And you've built a lot of recipes, eaten a lot of dog food, as they say. But is it foolproof? As in a non-technical person can do it? No. Not yet. And so, and then some incarnations are better than others. But Terraform's kind of industry standard, it's pretty good. It has proprietary definitions in it of different cloud providers. It needs to, it just makes Makes sense? Yeah. But that's sort of an example of an abstraction that is in the process of gaining credibility. Whereas like your monitor, and instead of the old guy when I was 20 and you're 60 telling me, oh, I used to program each color value per pixel. We don't do that anymore. The operating system, graphics card, all that stuff have abstracted that problem away. That's really what I mean. This ride has been deeply more technical than I was anticipating, but nonetheless, I have no idea how many people are watching the stream. Probably zero. It's okay. Still waiting for it. Non-English sentence. Feel really good in here though. Low zone 2 for me. Had a long warm up, so I'm normalizing 202. Probably a little lower than I want, but there we go. See highlighted in blue. 203. My zone 2 is moving up, which is obviously what you want. The low 200 is closer to low zone 2. Remember the first time, oh, English, blue English. I remember the first time I broke 200 watts over an hour. I was so happy. It was 208 watts for like an hour 20. I think at the end my heart rate was like 180, and it was on at not a Peloton, but it was the knockoff one. I had the Costco version. Yeah. And I was stoked. It's been a long fitness journey. I was very overweight. I don't drink alcohol. Haven't for like 6 years, but used to a lot. Contributed to weight, general unhealthiness, and bad habits in my youth. Never really thought I could achieve a high level of fitness, although I do come from, I guess, pretty good genetics. That's another thing. Genetics. Like I really have some wild ideas about genetics. I'm wondering if it's the body, the blueprints for the body, or the blueprints for the mental templates that matter for fitness. And I'll tell you why, it goes back to what I said earlier. If you believe that we don't get stronger, we adapt to higher and higher workloads, then it's really an exercise of suffering and discipline. And having the mental constructs are more important than the physical. Put another way, can anybody adapt to a high level? It's just the psychological side holding them back. It's a combination of the two. Probably like everything in life, it's a little of column A, a little of column B. But that's interesting. As somebody who builds systems for a living, I've been obsessed with biology. And really, I think I was looking at the Krebs cycle, which is the ATP cycle, at the molecular level. Like the mitochondria, there's a little, sorry as well, but there's a structure of atoms that pumps electrons out of the surface of the mitochondria and into the cytosol or whatever pathways. So that's what you're doing, zone 2, is you're trying to put a higher demand, probably specifically on those electron pumps. I'm not sure on that, but on the cycle, to get the mitochondria to adapt. And what we see is they get longer, and there'll be more of them in your cells as an adaptation. Because the currency of biology, as I it's electrons. That's what it is. That's the difference between organic and inorganic things is motion powered by electrons, or the accumulation and expenditure of electrons. And mitochondria is, I think everybody knows, that it's like one of the wildest tales of, I'm trying to remember what it's called, symbiogenesis, I think it is, where it's like symbiosis to the next power, because mitochondria were just like bacteria hanging out, and then one day it infected a cell, a single-celled organism. And that's actually the delineation between eukaryotic cells, I think, is that, or that's a part of it. But it's the very, very crass analogy I use, if that doesn't make sense to you, it's like if one day we merged with squirrel and our calf muscles were replaced with squirrels or something. That's how wild it is for this completely different species to infect a cell and be like, no, we live here now. And the cell's like, all right, we put off a lot of electrons. They're pretty cool. And that's when they say they look at the mitochondrial DNA, which is passed down from our mothers and not fathers. It's literally the DNA of a different species. It's on its own evolutionary path. But just absolutely insane. So, but that's what we're trying with Zone 2. We're trying to target those systems and break down fat, really. Because our energy systems in our body are very resilient, and there's multiple different levels and different systems that sort of kick in and kick off at different levels of exertion. And that's kind of the hack of Zone 2, because it keeps it right below that switch. And so it's like fat adapted. That's how I understand it. I probably butchered that, but as somebody who designed systems and it kind of got into the biology and really at the chemistry of it, it's so wild, the structures that nature has made to just pipe out electrons. Finally encourage folks to like take a peek. That interests you. But as somebody who builds information systems for a living, it's humbling how much better nature is. And so kind of on that note, I guess I'm on my own soapbox. Really, it shows the difference between information systems and where DNA is the blueprint that exists inside biological information systems. It's really cool. I know he's not that cool anymore due to other issues, but there's a Dr. Levin. He's a xenobiologist and just a biologist. He was on the Lex Friedman podcast, but they kind of he's obviously very accomplished, but he sort of allowed himself to make conjectures about what he thinks biology is and how it works, without the constraint of like the rigors of science, which you should do and have published. But it's kind of interesting to see somebody who's been working out for like 30 years give their opinion on biology and things like that. I highly recommend checking it out. We can chat. It's English. Damn it. Damn it. But and he sort of has his, and he helped me see some things that that DNA is not the builder, right? You say DNA and like your blue eyes, it's not what builds your blue eyes. It's just a system of information that says for the parts of you that build, the biology that builds, to build the blue eyes. But the building is a separate step. So DNA is really like almost like a database. And it's pretty cool. It's a way of coding information into the future. That's what it is. I mean, obviously, cancers and things like that come from mistakes in reading the blueprint. But I think people often mistake DNA, they lump DNA and the building together, which is just not that. There's DNA and then there's enzymes and stuff that hold it and read it and interpret it, which are so crazy. So crazy. This is Michael right hand. He's helping, unfortunately, a gentleman, his friend was hit by a car and is needing surgery. He's riding 1,000 kilometers. He might be done now. I suspect not if Matthew's on, if Matthew's been helping. I believe Matthew is a very accomplished rider. Has some records for endurance rides. I think the 24-hour ride. I think it is. He was working about 9 hours yesterday at over 300 watts. He said he forgot his name, so I named him Michael Right Hand. It's Mike. Yeah, pretty cool. He's going for a new record soon, I think. He's 24-hour record, 600 some odd kilometers. No idea. He's speaking English. So, I can't have that right now. We'll just keep going. Oh, look. If any of you are watching multilingual, by all means, hop on Tempest and chat to me. See, this is where I like that 2-digit resolution. See, Zwift is still saying 0%, but we're actually at 0.4. I think it rounds up at 0.4. Not that it's super critical, but as a heavier rider, it definitely matters. And I can feel 1.4%. 1.3% is a high gradient, but it's going to tell me from 1, and you'll be inclined to dismiss it. I don't know what the trainer resolution is. That's a good question. So I guess that's what matters more than the screen output is like. How does the trainer adjust it? By what increment? Hundredths of a percent? Tenths? Because obviously it's going to increase the resistance to match the slope. And same on the downs. Because even at negative 0.3%, like as a heavier rider, I can take a bit more respite than a smaller rider. And like Zwift will just show 0 at negative 0.35 and at 0.35. So going to 0 watts at 0.35, like I'm going to lose the pack and not really understand why. I don't want to do intervals on stream. I may just. And then I'm going to try to read the chats. So, my VO2 max has gone up, so I don't really know what I should be aiming for. So I did in the first few times, it was 367 average. I don't know what my FTP is. I saw a recent video to not worry about FTP, which has been interesting because it's sort of affirmed like I haven't taken an FTP test in forever. I'm doing the things I know will produce adaptation. I'm putting more load in the legs, and therefore I don't really need to do them to figure out where I am. Maybe that's stupid. But, in any case, that's what I'm doing. But I had it estimated at times like 3:43. I think it's about right. I can normalize 3:30, 3:40 for an hour. That's normalized though. Again, I'm probably heavier on the VO2 max than I am on the cardio, like 20-minute effort. But anyway, so VO2 max was 367 first few times, and then I felt pretty comfortable at 380. I've also not been using ERG mode. I don't like it. I think sustaining your watt output and learning how to do that on your own is an important part of racing. That's also why I have 1 second power and not 3 seconds. I want to be like pretty equal across the rotation. It's hard, but I think we need to practice it. So, and also that little micro respite, going at like 240 for a second, I think it's helpful and more realistic. The ERG kind of, you get in a death spiral. I don't want to get. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't. So I do intervals like doing it, and then I do one after. Hello. Oh, big money. I didn't even know that flag. Oh, it's Austria. Okay. Austria. Interesting. I didn't know that. So good with flags. Don't know baseball. That's Thailand. More positive. Which tell me. Scotland. Took me a while to realize that British flag, the Union Jack, it's in the name. The Union is the Union of the old English flag. If you've ever seen the Red Cross on white background, and then the Scottish flag, which is one just above me, which is blue with white stripes on the diagonal. The Irish flag is a little more rare, but it's got the red in the corners. And then, yeah, it's the UK. It's all of them together. The Union. The UK resident is slapping the forehead for an idiot. It's the Axir. It's the Scottish flag. Come on, big money. Come on, chat. Might just do my own. And again, the reason you see some tokens used is like if somebody from Austria speaks English, it's still going to translate it. There's no real good way for me to determine if someone's English without calling the LLM that knows. If I speak to him in Austrian, I'll get a reply. It won't translate unless I turn the config off. Maybe I'll do it. Oh, wait, this is interesting. I'll put that on the screen. We had this debate the other day. I'm going to put Dominic Schönhofer. He's ahead of me. So everybody says it's raw watts on the flats. It is not. It's 100% not. I will say the game is broken towards heavier riders as long as the pitch isn't 6% or higher, but he's at 145 watts. He's going 2.5. Right? So I am chilling at 227, not keeping up. That's slightly less watts per kilo, but I'd love to see his workout panel. Let's see if I can position myself to peak. Okay, well, I can eat my words. He's at 215, 217. Okay, bad example. Still normalizing, not many, so. Well. That was a horrible example. I'll have to find a different one, because I've definitely seen it where somebody generating like 150 watts is outpacing me on 2.5. Everybody says it's just raw watts and matters on flats, and that's not been my experience. Okay, there we go. Guy on the left. I don't know who that is. They're at 140. Blue kit, Stiffelman, okay. Stiffelman, normalizing 112. They're at 150 right now. They're doing 2.2, 2.3. They're following behind. Keeping up. Opa! You okay? Last breakage. We'll see if the Stiffelman is at the same watts per kilo. Significantly less, fewer watts. 140 still, 145. Struggling to keep up for sure. A little bit. Reduce my output. See if I can get a clean that spring. But I've spent so much time on campus and being able to see other people's. I think raw would obviously matter, and I'm not complaining that the drafting coefficient matters. Stiffelman's at 3.0 now. I don't see any translations. I'll switch over if I see any chats. steering over is very similar watts to me. And stippleman is 162 now. Keeping up just fine. 170. And overtaking the new draft. I guess I'm not in the draft, so it's hard to compare. It's not a clean experiment. You'd want both of us out of the draft. It'd be interesting to see how much the socks help. Should be about 45 or so into my watt factory. Journey out of the first 250. But the cool socks aren't until 850. Months. Let's see. I really stick them in the grass there. I would need a more scientific experiment, but I'm very certain that there's more to it than just raw watts on the flats, and or the coefficient of drag is means a lot more. Let's do 100 watts. Well, we're going north though, so it's terrible experiment, but I'm going to drop it in. Makes sense. I want to do that experiment though. Give me one. Well, this has been a bust. In terms of translations. I can just do it. You know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn, first let's go back to it. And then let us.
Alright,
Love you, sweetie. I'm going to turn off US and save it. So now it will translate. So what language do we want? Dutch. Let's see. Use Google Translate. English, Dutch. Hello, all Dutch riders. Okay. Go ahead and chat there. Alright. Translate Dutch. Hello, Dutch riders. I hope you have a nice ride. Let's see if we get any responses. But see, it turned. Now it's going to translate anyways, you know, but it detected the language automatically. Converted it. There, hey! Although, didn't you do one? Wish it had a little bit more substance. Oh, it's Australia. Oh, it's a Dutch in Australia. Oh my gosh. The exact, because I have the filter on. The filter's working. Probably calling me out on my terrible Dutch. Is my guess. And saying, yeah, okay, whatever. Or it's okay. We'll never know because it's a Dutch rider in the one situation that we didn't want. But there it is. It translated me, it didn't translate him because it's working correctly. That's funny. That is funny. I'll figure that payout. That's software. Ah, super funny. I did get a response. I just didn't translate it. Successfully failed. Okay, well, I'll end stream there. I think it's pretty cool. I'm gonna keep working on it. Maybe the goal should be the jet ride. The next time I do the jet ride, that I have it on, and then there will just be crazy amounts of Japanese translation. I think that would make a lot more sense than trying to fish at this for people. But I'm gonna finish this up and then do intervals. I think on my own. You don't have to see that, but I want to see. Yeah, I also have to pee really bad. But thank you, anybody who endured that. It was fun, and we'll see how this progresses and how I can get people to consume it. I'm not sure. I'm not sold that it's the right model. Have people bring their own API key, but at the same time, I don't want to pay for an unlimited amount of translation. So it's gonna take a lot more work, I think, if I go that route. The easy route would be just to expose the API key. I think I've done it safely. Like if I rebooted sauce, I could put in the key again, which is annoying, but browsers aren't really made to have secrets stored. A secret is just like a password somewhere. So yeah. But anyhow, thanks for joining. Listening to me ramble.